Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I told you guys we're going to talk about all things real estate. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's all about lending and buying and selling assets and investing in real estate or what have you. We're talking to David Aaronson today. Welcome into the studio. David is the CEO of a company called Refuel Electric Vehicle Solutions. And they install electric charging stations into real estate assets, mostly multifamily at this point, right, David?
Yeah, that's correct. Glad to be here. We're in the EV charging business, just getting going. It's the first inning of this business, but the reality is real estate is going to offer the most convenient way to refuel your cars.
Yep.
We're already seeing it with people who buy a car and live at home and they refuel their car at home.
Yep.
So apartment dwellers should have the same opportunity.
100%. David, we have a lot of real estate investors who watch this show, and a lot of them are going to be curious about your story. How did you have a real estate background, but tell us how you got into, how did this thought come up for you to start doing this on a broad scale?
I don't know, maybe craziness at my age, to be honest with you. But I've been in the real estate investment banking, mortgage banking industry for 45 years now. Yeah. And after doing something for that long, you get a little bored. So my mind wandered and I started thinking about what does a real estate infrastructure play look like?
Yep.
Many years ago when they developed cell phones, they had to put cell towers on each site. And all over the place, so the phones could communicate. Well, I started thinking, being able to refuel your car where you live, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you go back 100 years, gas stations, there weren't any gas stations around. So the limiting factor for people driving gas cars was, where do we fill up?
Right.
And of course, they didn't get 300-400 miles a tank then, they got 8.
Yeah.
So it was really important, if you were going to give up your horse where there was plentiful, convenient water,
yeah,
you needed to refuel.
Right.
So I thought this would be the same thing.
Yeah. So you're really kind of on the front lines of, helping the electric vehicle industry get more adopted into society, because there's going to be more opportunities to fill up your car.
Absolutely, we are.
Which I think is a smart play.
And look, we know we're early, but putting it off isn't going to make it go away.
Right.
This is what people need to understand. Electric vehicles are here to stay.
Yep.
It doesn't matter whether Ford sales are down this month or this year or VW sales are down. The reality of the situation is all the car manufacturers have said, we're going to stop making gas
Yep.
cars. We're going to make electric cars.
Right.
And that's all you're going to buy.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of when, it's not a matter of if.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tell us, so did your history in investment banking, real estate investment banking, did it tee up the ability, did you know how leases worked, for this type of infrastructure play in a building? Did you have familiarity with that?
Well, I definitely think that my real estate background has helped us and separated us from our competition. I don't want to sound like an ad, but most apartment properties back in the 70s and 80s had washaterias. They didn't have washers and dryers in that unit.
Yep.
So they would build an area or have a laundromat, and somebody, a third-party service, would come in and own and operate the washing stations and the dryers in that laundromat.
Interesting.
EV charging stations are the exact same. These are little devices, generally speaking, and the property management teams that run these apartment properties don't want to mess with fixing them. I mean, they're not terribly expensive, but it's time consuming to fix them when they go down. And so it's one of the problems that the industry faces right now. It's one of the opportunities and one of the challenges.
So you guys will lease this property or sell it to an apartment?
What we do is we lease parking spaces from the apartment property.
Interesting.
Okay? And every one of these apartment projects were built, and they never contemplated EV charging stations. So they don't have enough electricity to provide enough energy to the charging stations to meet the future demand. Keep in mind, the future demand at a 300 unit apartment project could be 300 to 400 electric vehicles.
Sure.
They only have electrical capacity to maybe serve 20 of them.
Coming into that building to begin with.
That's it. If you can find enough electricity infrastructure to serve 20 to 30 cars on that property, then that's all you're going to get without bringing in very expensive new electrical service.
Interesting.
Okay, so we like we lease the parking space. We tell the property owner we're going to reimburse you for the electricity that we use, and then we will share the profit with you, once we have some profit made.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't cost anything for them. What they get is we do sign a long-term contract, 10 to 15 years. At the end of that contract, they get the infrastructure. Okay? We've had to run conduit. We've had to put a new electrical panel up in many cases. We run conduit. We put a foundation there to support the charging station. Mm-hmm. And when our lease is up, we walk away from that. So the property still has it, and guess what? It still works. So
sounds like a pretty good deal for them.
So it's a really good way for them to get their property updated, offer the convenience of charging to their residents who are going to demand it. It's an amenity today. It'll be required very soon.
Yep.
And they'll make a little money off of it.
That sounds like a great solution for a lot of multifamily owners out there.
It does to me too.
What would be the mix of new construction or existing construction that you guys are working on now?
Well, it's probably 80% existing, maybe more. They're two different businesses, to be honest with you. When you're building an apartment project, we have a consulting service that helps the developer and development teams understand what they're going to need to put in infrastructure-wise to serve that property.
Yep.
And we're very busy with that.
I bet.
But a lot of times that you have a budget together and you just want to build the property and sell it, so you'll put in a whole lot of machines even though you don't need them to make it look more attractive for the buyer. There is a price for that. One of the charges, one of the costs of installing owning and operating an EV charging station is a network fee. Mm-hmm. And that allows you to set the rates and manage the loads and manage the time of day people can charge. You pay on average $20 per port for that. So if you're putting in 20 charging ports in a new property and you really only need 4, you're wasting some money.
There.
You're wasting some money you don't need to waste.
That makes sense.
But a lot of people do it just to get it over with.
David, we've got 2 minutes left. I told you, this time flies when we start talking about this stuff, and it goes.
Oh, I know. I could talk all day about it,
and we will. We're going to have you back on the show very soon.
Awesome.
I really appreciate you coming today. I mean, this is a topic I think for our viewers that is really interesting. I own a house now. When I did live in an apartment complex here in Houston, there were 2 charging stations, but it was before you were in business. So it must not have been you guys. But we're going to have you back on the show. Thanks for coming today.
Sounds great.
We'll be right back, everybody. We're going to head to a break.